Okay, so on the line here, I have Joshua Lee Henry, who's a copywriter who I've now known and worked with, and who's trained with me for a couple of years now, and he just has been a shooting star in the copywriting world, and so I asked him if he would be willing to hop on and do a quick short video interview testimonial, and so Joshua, welcome, thank you for being on here and sharing your story.
Absolutely, Roy. Glad to, man.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to go back in time, right? We met a couple of years ago. You came to Lincoln, Nebraska to do a couple-day workshop with me. And where were you at before that in terms of your copywriting skills and your copywriting career?
Sure, yeah. So somebody actually just asked me the other day how long I've been writing copy for. And I actually started copywriting back in 2012 doing fundraising letters, but I really didn't know it was copywriting. So I had no clue what I was doing. I had read some articles and a few books. I had, picked up Jay Abraham's book, Getting Everything You Can Out of, All That You've Got, and learned a little bit, but still was writing very academically at the time. I had just entered a doctorate degree program. I was still writing like I did in grad school, so a lot of my fundraising letters, big blocks of text and, very boring, no subheads. No bullets, nothing like that. None of the classic copywriting techniques that we know about today. And so I was struggling to raise funds, and I was working with a nonprofit at the time, and just really didn't have a clue what I was doing. Fast forward to 2015, and I started working in a business and doing marketing, and became actually vice president of marketing for a national financial brokerage firm. And so I started studying more about copywriting, more about email, more about scripting webinars and whatnot. But I still wasn't getting the results that I wanted. It was still very young. I looked at copy as a tool in the marketer's toolbox, not really the oxygen or sales flow that it can create. And when I was unexpectedly fired from that job in 2018, I didn't know what to do, Roy. I scrambled around. I didn't know if I should get another job. I didn't know if I should just try to start my own business. And so with a family, I knew that I had to provide. And so I looked at my toolkit and I thought, what can I take to market and start making money with today? And that's when I had the realization of copywriting. And so I dove headfirst into actually studying copy, into handwriting sales letters, into getting my first client as a freelancer. And about 6 months after that is when I came to Lincoln, Nebraska, and really just started drinking from a fire hose with you.
Awesome. I thought you were going to talk about drinking at dinner, but I guess that's me. No, I love it. I don't think that I realized quite even the urgency of the situation. I knew that you had a fire in your belly. I knew that, like, even as I reviewed copy, that from you, that like, I remember having a phone call with you and saying, listen, I'm screening people to actually come to this workshop. And your copy makes me the most nervous because I can tell that you have the enthusiasm. I can tell that you want it. I can tell that you're hungrier than everybody else. But also, I feel like you have the biggest distance to go. And you said, like, I don't care. I'll do what it takes, which I knew at that moment that it was like, if I let you in, it was going to be the right decision. So what at that moment actually did make you decide to move forward, to work with me in particular, or to jump in the way that you did in that moment with me?
Yeah, I had been reading the emails, Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. I had read your book, Copywriter's Guide to Getting Paid. Your workshop, I believe, was in September, right? And
that sounds right.
I had read one of the first books, just through Amazon that I had read on copywriting, like actually focusing on studying the craft and getting good at it, was your book, The Copywriter's Guide to Getting Paid.
Okay.
And so I read that, and it just really resonated with me, like your story about, your jump from, being in the marketing position and getting a marketing job to learn marketing and sales before becoming a freelancer, and studying and learning from, all these giants in the craft that you had learned from, and really me knowing that the fastest way to accelerate mastery in any skill is to have a mentor and have somebody show you the way and teach you the way. I had already trusted you because I believed in your story, and I saw my own story in your story, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
I had a wife, I had a mortgage, I had 2 kids. And I had to make this happen. I had to do it. Failing wasn't an option, So at that point, I had already worked with a few clients. I had some small sales results. Again, I was still very green in terms of like actually, being really, good at copy and whatnot. And so after reading your emails and just seeing the value that you provided every day, 1,000 words every day in your emails of actionable, practical content, I just knew this is what I have to do. I knew that financial copy was the cream of the crop. I knew that was the highest demand, highest paying, most rigorous form of copy. That was the niche that I knew I wanted to compete in and play in. And I knew you were the guy that could do it, And at this point, I had talked with several publishers, and they offered me, I had talked to a couple of publishers at this point already, and they had offered me to relocate to some of these coastal cities to work in-house. And at this point, I knew that relocation was not an option for me and my family. That was not something I was willing to compromise or forgo to move. And number two, I also knew that I did not want to be an employee, because that job I had been fired from was actually the third job I had been fired from in 6 years. Wow. And so I had known that I don't want to be an employee. I don't want to move. I'm not going to go in-house someplace. And if Roy can make it as a freelancer in the financial copy space, I can do it. If he can do it, I can do it. He's the guy that can show me the way. And so it was just a matter of me, selling myself to you and just proving my enthusiasm, demonstrating my work ethic, that I'm willing to do whatever it takes, for you to convince, for me to convince you to let me come. And then I had to sell my wife on the $2,000 or whatever it was to go. And again, I was only 6 months into having my own freelance business. So I didn't have a track record. I didn't have a pipeline of eager clients waiting to pay me. We did not have much of a savings when we got fired. It was a long story. There was a lot of things that had happened, and there wasn't a lot of money there. Yeah. And so it was a gamble. And, I learned a long time ago that before I ask anybody else to bet on me, I need to prove it by betting on myself. And so before I would ask you to bet on me, I wanted to prove to you that I'm willing to bet on myself. And that I knew that if I would take the chance, that I would take the action, take the lessons that you would teach me, and make it work.
Absolutely. Well, that's awesome. I still remember, and you caused me to remember the story where I wrote an email to my wife the first time I was really needing to invest in myself as a copywriter. And the first question that she asked me was, "Did you just write me a sales letter?" And I said, "Yeah, yes, I did." Yeah. But you do what it takes, right? Yep. So what was your experience? Like, what were your 1 to 3 biggest takeaways? Not just like from that event, because that was a very specific event, but from like working with me and learning from me as a copywriter, somebody looking to really make their mark.
Yeah, sure. You got me teary-eyed here. No, I think I've got an eyelash in my eye. So I think there we go. We'll just blame it on that. No.
Okay.
It was great. One of the things that I learned from firsthand experience with you was that reading about copy and writing copy are two different things. And there are a lot of copywriters that are really just wannabe copywriters, and they're opportunity seekers, opportunity buyers. And they think that by osmosis, if they read enough books or watch enough video trainings, that they magically become copywriters. And especially in the biz op niche, that's what a lot of people want to buy. They want to take the magic pill, go to sleep, wake up, and be thin, be happy, be married, whatever the case is. And so that opened my eyes, because when I entered the copywriting field, I looked around and I thought, oh my goodness, there's all of these copywriters. How am I ever going to compete with them? How do I set myself apart? And then I realized, I think there's really, again, no offense to anybody else in our industry, but I think there's a lot of people that want to be copywriters, and they're not actually writing, or they're not actually getting clients, or they're not actually doing the things that are required to go out and to prospect and to make a sale and to position themselves. And so I knew that if I did that, the cream always rises to the top. I knew that if I did the right inputs, that I would get the right outcome. So that was the first big thing. The second big thing was really just the power of having a clear, compelling, emotional idea. A clear, compelling, emotionally convicting idea that would really resonate with the market. And I remember, in context of the financial copywriting workshop, we were talking about this avatar of the typical financial, investment product buyer, and having such a clear understanding of who that avatar is, who that prospect is, who the market is, what they think about, what they're afraid, about, what their hopes are, their dreams, what's going to get them to stir and pay attention, what's going to get them to lie awake at night, just thinking that's the answer to their problems. Just having that clear, gripping idea. And we talked a lot about like some of Clayton Makepeace's promos and just the ideas behind that, the big ideas that will grab somebody by the lapels and, shake them to pay attention. And so that really stuck with me. I'd say the other thing would be, in addition to doing the work as a copywriter, in addition to finding quality, good ideas that are emotionally compelling enough, the last thing I'd say would be looking at your copywriting business as a freelancer as a business. It's not just for some people it can be, but it's not just swinging from client to client or project to project or sales letter to sales letter. I knew that I wanted to start a business and have, multiple streams of income, products of my own eventually down the line. I knew that I didn't want to have, just the need to go seek out clients on a regular basis, but I wanted to be doing things like authority content to bring clients to me through inbound ways, the way that you do with the blog and with the email. And so observing that and the way that you actually structure your business, I'm a member of BTMS Insiders myself. And so watching what you do and really taking that as a blueprint and a model for something that I could create in my own life was really, really inspirational, Roy.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And yeah, I really appreciate seeing that reflected back. Well, so how has life changed in the last couple of years? That was 2018. You were just like starting your copywriting business. How has life changed? What kind of results have you gotten?
It's been cool because I've been able to prove, you've proven the concept for me, but I've been able to take it and actually implement it in my own life. I've proven that I can work with big name financial publishers and not have to go in-house. I've done five publisher front end, long form customer acquisition via sales or long form sales pages. I've done one in the real estate niche that has, broken sales records already for the company and, on set to project to do over $1 million, which has been exciting. I've gotten to work with big names, both in the self-help space and also the copywriting and marketing space. Gurus that I've looked up to and used to read their books. I now am on first name basis with these guys. My wife and I, we were able to make 3 times as much as what I was used to making in my marketing job. So I've more than, doubled my income from an employee. And it's great. I'm actually in the process of creating my own products for certain niches as well. And so life's good, man. I mean, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm definitely further along in the journey than what I was previous to coming to your workshop.
The horizon keeps moving on the way to your destination, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I want to wrap this up with the question that I ask at the end. So if I were to make an offer to others to like learn, I don't have the specific offer today, but if I were to make an offer to others to learn copywriting or get direct feedback from me, like copywriting coaching, that sort of stuff, is that something that you would recommend other people do?
Absolutely. Without a doubt, man. I mean, after learning from you in person, learning through your blog, your website, the courses, your emails, having copy reviews with you, working on promos with you, absolutely. A lot of people actually ask me now, how do I get into the financial space or real estate space or just being a copywriter? How can I learn financial copywriting in particular and copywriting in general? And the first thing I tell them to do is before you go buy an expensive course or before you, go to a workshop, at a minimum, the first thing you need to do is get on Roy's email list. And if he ever makes an opportunity for you to go learn from him in person, you have to do it because quite literally working with you was one of the biggest stepping stones I could have taken, to get on the track to where I am now as a copywriter.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I do want to say that with the attitude that you had and like the willingness to invest in yourself, not just like financially, which is important, but also all the work and like this attitude of I'm going to do whatever it takes, you were on your way, right? Like it's a flywheel effect. And I gave that flywheel another push, right?
Yeah.
But you had that flywheel spinning and I really respect you and I appreciate you too for the energy and the dedication that you put into it and the hard work that you put into it. And I'm happy to have been part of your success story as well. Thank you, Joshua.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, Roy.